Okay, welcome once again to the Cow Report, and we're coming to you live from beautiful downtown Eau Claire at the beautiful downtown L.E. Phillips Memorial Library, Fred.
Yes.
And that, of course, with me is my rusty, trusty sidekick, Fred the Truth Stafford. I want to welcome you to the program, Fred.
Yes.
Glad to see you back with us again.
Yes. Look at that.
We're looking forward to you being here. Okay, and once again, as I was saying, Fred, this is the end of June, and it's exactly June the what?
Yes, it is.
June
exactly.
the
28th?
No, I think
27th?
it's 27th.
Right.
And as usual, we tell about what happened on these days, you know, right around Monday, like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We tell what happened through history on this date. And so, we want to welcome you once again to the program. Okay, Fred. And of course, Fred, the program is brought to you as usual by the wonderful World of Flavin and the Flavin Charities that have helped people around the world and the greater Eau Claire area.
How much would you take to sell that formula there for Flavin?
That is in a blind trust, Fred. I don't even know what the formula is.
Well, here we'll give you $1 cash for it.
$1 cash.
Yeah.
What is that, a Civil War greenback or what? I think we'll hold.
I think it's more valuable than that.
That's what $1 used to be worth, Fred.
Yeah.
About that size. Now it's the size of a postage stamp. Okay.
Well, is it a deal?
Nope.
Well, how about $10?
$10. That looks like the man on there.
Yeah.
Is that the man?
Yes, that's the man.
Can you get a close-up of the man?
Yeah.
It says, "In Jaime we trust." You know, they used to say, "In God we trust," Fred, but now it says, "In Jaime we trust."
See, I didn't know that was on
Okay. Okay, Fred. Boy, we got a lot to talk about today.
Yes.
So if you got anything to talk about.
You betcha.
All right. Well, as usual, we have Roy Rogers Hoff directing things from the control room.
Yes.
And he's a direct descendant of Wyatt Earp, Fred. That's why his parents named him Roy Rogers.
Right.
Okay. And as usual, we have Chris and Cliff Economaki, the Siamese twins of engineering, holding down the fort, Fred. And I guess they've patched everything up now, and they're going everywhere together again. It's amazing. It's kind of an on-again, off-again relationship with them guys. All right. So on this date, Fred, now I'm going to quiz you very seriously today, Fred. It's a very serious quizzing here.
Yeah, well, I
see you got your thinking cap.
I don't know the answers.
On this date, Fred, in June 26th, which was yesterday, what happened?
Well, that was the day after the 25th.
Okay. On this date, in 1844, what happened?
1844. June 26th?
Right.
The end of the Civil War?
1844?
Oh, no, that was 1844. No, I can't give you the answer to that.
President John Tyler is married in a White House ceremony.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Now, I don't know if somebody might correct me if I'm wrong, but that could be the last time a president was married in the White House.
I don't know.
I don't either. All right, Fred. We've got a lot to talk about, and as you know, I've filed ethics charges with the State Ethics Board against Representative Baldwin, who was using her office for recruiting and starting a statewide group of about 100 different groups that have formed together to form a coalition to, one of their goals is to observe the right wing and make sure they don't get out of line.
Is that right?
And I've heard people say that you're part of that right wing bunch, so I just wanted to ask you what you thought about that.
Well, that's nice. We don't mind having people watch us.
Anyway,
maybe they'll learn something. Right from wrong, for example.
This is the very envelope, Fred.
Yes.
With the facts and figures in it, going to the ethics board with the address right on it there. That'll be mailed out today. as soon as we leave here.
Yes.
That's why I'm incognito today, Fred. I don't want
Yes.
anyone between here and the post office to mug me,
Right.
because some of them more radical groups out there that belong to this now, they've sent out the word that I'm on their list.
Yeah.
And I even got an editorial here where they wrote about me in a paper down in Madison.
Yes.
And so the word's out on me, Fred, so
Good.
we have to be careful. That's why I'm incognito today.
That's good that something's out on you, Chuck.
And this is going right to the State Ethics Board, to their attorney, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I want to know is, where was the Democrats and the Republicans on this issue?
I don't know. Where were they?
Probably too busy breaking the ethics laws themselves.
Could be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Fred, that's it. The facts and figures are right in there.
Can I make a comment upon that?
Oh, I suppose you could.
And we take the Wanderer of June the 30th issue, which we got today, and there is on page 1, homosexuals disrupt service at Westminster Cathedral, attack catechism. This is these peaceful people that you were just talking about, which Tammy Baldwin apparently is one of. And the homosexual campaigners from Outrage, a militant group which demands full acceptance of homosexual activity, interrupted a service at London's Westminster Cathedral recently. Police had to be called to enable worship to continue.
They did the same thing in New York at one of your old haunts.
St. Patrick's Cathedral, the cathedral in Brooklyn, and the cathedral in
Now, which one of those did you used to attend? Which one of them parishes?
I went a few times to St. Patrick's Cathedral. I also went to the one in Brooklyn too.
Oh. Well, Fred, we got somebody that eagerly needs to talk to
Yes.
us on the phone because
Yes.
they said they had to go to the bathroom, so we'll get this one right out of the way. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Well, whatever. Guess who this is, fellas?
Is this the person I'm holding up a photo of? Is this who this is?
Could be. Yeah, that's me. That's about a 20-year-old picture.
Looks like a young Hitler in Berlin in the spring.
Well, that was sort of my hippie radical days there, I guess.
Oh. You weren't in that play, were you?
Huh?
You weren't in that play, were you?
What? You mean what play? What play are you talking about?
Young Hitler in Berlin in the spring. It was a,
Oh,
it was
okay.
a play.
I think isn't that the same thing? That reminds me of that crazy.
Well, anyway, this is the Common Man, and I talked to Roy Rogers Hoff, direct descendant of Wyatt Earp, and he says that I might be able to just call you Man.
Well, I guess that would be my last name if you're going by my stage name there.
Okay. I see they're making some money with your picture on it now. You're really getting up there.
Well, yeah, I get. Maybe there's a little rumor going around here. I don't know. People have been trying to talk me into running for president in '96. They think I can beat Clinton. To tell you the truth, I think anybody could beat Clinton. But
Yeah, Clinton. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Right after this program at, I guess it would be 3 o'clock, there will be a program called Clinton Health Plan, a closer look, and it's right after this program, right at 3 o'clock, so please stay tuned for that.
I was going to say you can take a closer look at it, but it's going to keep looking worse every time you look at it.
Okay, Common, well, what do we, oh yeah, I forgot, you said I could call you Man, so what are we going to, what's your what's your question for the day, Man?
The questions of the day? Well, let's see. A few things here. Oh, I don't know if you noticed or not, but if you happen to see my last show, I'm going into the little product line business here myself, sort of. But I figured you guys kind of had the market cornered on the pop situation there, so I've come out with Common Man milk.
Okay, well, all right.
Is that BGH free?
Absolutely.
Wow.
So you can't beat Flavor
In
Pop.
other words, you get
Totally.
free BGH with it?
Oops, we lost the Common Man, unfortunately. So we'll have to go back to him later, possibly. Fred, I don't know how that happens. But anyway, I picked this up out of Best Buy. This was an amazing little brochure.
Yes.
And it's called Rock the Vote.
Rock the boat.
Rock the Vote. It's a brochure. You can get it at any Best Buy, and it tells how to join Rock the Vote. That's the MTV version of what they call a nonprofit, nonpartisan membership organization dedicated to the political empowerment of the youth of America. Now, President Clinton gave credit to MTV for getting him elected,
Right.
and all the kids that watch it. I guess it was the first time in '92 was the first time they saw an upturn in the young vote. For years, it went just down to almost where no young kids were voting, young people. Well, they claim to be nonpartisan and nonprofit,
Yes.
but in the fine print from the guy that's running the deal, you'll see that he signed it with a peace sign, Fred, and he kind of tells about where they're going and where they're coming from. So I think it's anything but a nonpartisan group, Fred. They were solid behind Clinton, and they used these phony public service commercials with Madonna nude wrapped in a flag and stuff, and it was all geared to get the young vote to vote for Clinton. So it's a big phony deal. It's not nonpartisan. It's part of the left-wing propaganda machine, and they're using the public airwaves freely on MTV to get the message across to poison the youth of America. All right, Fred. We got some calls here that someone's been eagerly waiting to talk to you, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Now we got a new policy here to cut down on the young children of our public school system to quit swearing and stuff. We when we suspect somebody that's doing that, we ask for their phone number, and then we'll call them back so we have a record of their violations of the law on the air in case we want to prosecute. So if we ask you to and you're a legitimate caller, we're not keeping any record to try and trap you or get a hold of you later. We're just trying to do this to cut down on the nasty phone calls. So go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Is it true you molest your cows?
Well, I guess that one slipped through, Fred.
Yeah.
But we'll remind Roy Rogers Hoffman there to watch that a little closer. Okay. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Do you suck dick?
Well, I wonder if these kids must be school dropouts, Fred, because I guess this is summer school, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Summer's in. Maybe we should round all them kids up and send them to summer school.
Right.
All right. Now, what did you have there, Fred? I'm going to turn this over to you and tie things up for 15 minutes.
I see a little something in the CPR alert, which is by the so-called Committee to Preserve Republicanism, and they talk about the facts behind the separation of church and state. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, unquote. It's rather interesting and goes on, I believe the First Amendment to the Constitution is what it says. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's plain English.
That means that the government's not going to fall one way or
in
the other.
other words, it's to keep the government out of religion, not to keep religion out of the government.
In other words, so you don't set up a prayer that everybody has to recite. On the other hand,
Or establish a church,
all right,
which
a
now,
state church like in England or something.
yes, and in this there is reference to Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter to the group of Baptists in Danbury, Connecticut in 1802 when he coined the phrase, a wall of separation between church and state. Now, what does Thomas Jefferson, the primary author of the Independence and the Declaration of Independence and the third president, was quite forthright in acknowledging the necessity of a Christian foundation for the Republic. You wouldn't know that from this quote here. He said the Bible is the cornerstone of liberty. A student's perusal of the sacred volume will make him a better citizen, a better father, and a better husband.
Well, we'll take this call, Fred, and see what this caller has to say about that. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air. Sounds like somebody's got the flu or something.
So, no, I think somebody down at the nut house got a phone, access to a phone.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering, you really cut down this whole rock the vote thing and called it propaganda, but you really didn't give me any information saying you knew anything about it at all. And I really would like to know how you know all this stuff.
Hey, Well, I've watched MTV. I'm not-
Okay, I've watched it too, but you can watch TV and really gain nothing about it unless, you read something. Maybe you should read something about this first before you cut it down. You have one brochure. That's one little pamphlet that I could get anywhere.
Well, then go get...
Be a TV show where maybe you learn something.
Okay, well, thank you. Go get that brochure then, because there it is. You can get it on MTV. It's free. And you can even get a T-shirt, Fred, that says, "Censorship is un-American," and it shows an Uncle Sam arm reaching over and putting a hand on your mouth.
Yeah.
But I've observed the commercials, Fred. They're definitely one-sided, left-wing propaganda pieces that were paid for. They call them public service announcements on MTV, but it was obvious what they were up to. All right, Fred, on this date, which is today, in 1844, once again, Fred, I'm going to quiz you on this till you get it right. What happened on this date in 1844? June the 27th.
There was a marriage in the White House.
Nope.
Was it John Tyler got married there?
Nope. After the death of Joseph Smith, Brigham Young takes over as leader of the Mormon Church. 150 years ago, Fred. And we'll get back to that in a minute. I think we'll try and take a clean phone call this time. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Are you going to run for office?
Where'd you hear that at?
I don't know. I was just wondering.
Well, somebody gave me these brochures, and we'll hold those up there and see what you think about that. Let me get it above there. Can you read that?
Yeah, I can.
Wait a minute, let me get my hand off it there. Okay, well, what's that say?
It says, I'll shave my beard and cut my hair to be your congressman. I promise. Charles Lee for Congress, 3rd District of Wisconsin.
That's right.
You're going to run for an office, so why are you dressed like a woman?
This is a summer Hawaiian-type shirt. And this here is a regular tie, Fred. What's the problem? Anyway, that's one of them. Here's the other one. Can you see this one? It says, "I'll sign autographs and say hello to be your congressman.
You will.
I promise.
Hmm.
Charles Lee for Congress, 3rd District of Wisconsin." Now, Fred, politicians make promises, so you have to promise things like that to get elected. Doesn't matter whether you follow through on it. You just have to make a lot of promises. Now, we have some 4th of July fireworks in the background there, Fred, and it is coming up on the 4th.
Yes.
And that is a colorful season, you know,
Yes.
the 4th of July. It's hot and colorful. And that's why I wear shirts like this, Fred. They're colorful. Well, in Hawaii, this would be considered dull.
Right.
All right. Okay, Fred, do you know what's happening over there in the former Soviet Union?
Lots.
And please be patient on the phones. We will get back to you. Well, it's unfortunate, Fred, but there's a massive trade in heroin starting up in the former Soviet Union, and unfortunately, they're getting it from the former Afghanistan. Afghanistan is still there, but
Yeah.
there's all kinds of warring Muslim factions over there trying to control the country. But coming out of Dushanbe from Reuters News Service tells about how the heroin is just flowing unabated across the Afghanistan border into Tajikistan, and then from there it gets into Eastern Europe, into Western Europe, and then it's shipped into the United States. Well, unfortunately, Fred, we're already seeing the results in the United States. The number of deaths from heroin is starting to rise rapidly. We're seeing rock stars dying from it. We're seeing major overdoses around the country, and even in the state of Wisconsin, they're saying that the heroin epidemic is on its way to Wisconsin, and the statistics are up in this state as a matter of the number of deaths and injuries from heroin. So we're seeing a flood, Fred, of heroin coming in from Afghanistan through the former Soviet Union. These people are buying it for roughly about $65,000 a pound, and by the time it hits the streets in Milwaukee and Minneapolis, it's many, many times more money has been made, and the purity of it's so much higher than what was around 20 years ago, Fred, that now people, once they inject it, they're just falling over dead and going into comas and stuff. It's terrible what's happening out there because they're not used to this purer form of heroin. So what do you think about that, Fred? Was there any drug problem in New York when you were out there?
Yes, there was. It has since come west. And I was there last in January of 1965.
Well, you were there around when the second or third wave of that stuff came around.
Oh, I was there in 1964 when the hippies had a love-in, and they were smoking pot in Central Park there off 7th Avenue.
Now, which was it? Cookies or hippies or cookie hippies?
Yeah, that's right.
Cookie hippies.
That probably is right.
All right.
And they were also doing other things there for which they should have been arrested, but the police just ignored what was going on.
Okay, Fred, we're going to take another colorful call here. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Lee.
That's
him or me?
Lee.
The one with the glasses.
All right.
Or the one with that, like, bow tie thing.
With the tie.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering if you know Stephanie Lee.
Stephanie Lee?
Yeah, because your
No.
last Lee, her last name is Lee. You don't know her?
No relation.
Oh. How much did it cost to get head from your mom?
Pardon?
How much did it cost to get head from your mom?
Well, Fred, I think you had a wrong number there. We'll take the next call. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air. Thank you.
Yeah, what do you think about O.J. Simpson?
Which one?
O.J.
Well, the one that murdered his wife. What, do you think he's guilty?
How do you know he murdered his wife?
Well, I'm not saying he did.
First you tell me he murdered his wife, and then you ask me if he's guilty or not.
Well, you know. Well, do you think O.J. Simpson's guilty of murdering Nicole Simpson?
Well, the evidence, supposedly evidence, would steer one to believe that, but now that the intelligent, high-priced lawyers have moved in, F. Lee Bailey, very famous, world-renowned lawyer, represented the Boston Strangler and other major cases, and Dershowitz, who represented Jim Baker from PTL, and who else has he represented, Fred?
I don't know.
There's a movie out with Dershowitz in it. Oh, Klaus von Bülow and the heiress that fell into a coma. He was accused of murdering her, and Dershowitz got him off. Well, I'll tell you, it sounds to me like the police out there did a fine job of propagandizing and people into believing that O.J. was guilty, and I think it was kind of to flush him out because evidently they don't have the evidence that they claimed it had. Now it's being proven with these intelligent lawyers coming in. We're finding out that there was no bloody ski mask, and some other facts are starting to surface, and also the grand jury has been dissolved out there because that grand juries can tend to be what would they be, Fred? Kind of like lynch mobs with attorneys. But so things are up in the air now. It looks a little better for O.J., and we're just going to have to wait and see. He could very well be innocent. You're innocent until proven guilty in this country, and the police did a very nasty job of trying to prove him guilty right off the bat. And I think, like I said, it was part of the reason is to get him to do something stupid like hop in his car and make a run for it on national TV, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question, caller?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. See, Fred, all they have to do is call up here and get the straight facts on things. All right, Fred, I'm going to quiz you one more time, and then we're going to take another call. And this time, let's get it right.
No.
What happened on this date, June 28th?
When?
That's tomorrow.
I don't know.
You don't need the year, Fred. You should know everything.
That was Tuesday. And what happened on that date? It isn't here yet, so how can we tell you what happened?
In 1914, what happened? Now, I know you were around for that.
What, June? Was
June
that when
28th, 1914.
World War II started? No, that was when they shot the Archduke or something, which
Fred?
Brought on World War I.
You hit that nail right on the head. The Archduke Ferdinand of Austria is assassinated in Yugoslavia, which is now all split up and they're having a war again over there. And that spark set off World War I. And that's why they're so worried about what's going on in Bosnia and the former Yugoslavia now, because it caused a world war just 80 years ago, Fred. 80 years ago today, or 80 years ago tomorrow.
Yes.
That incident caused a world war.
Well, it was used as an excuse to start it.
Yes. And they're still fighting 80 years later over there, Fred. It's a 3-4-sided war over there. Croats against the Muslims against the Serbs against the Croats. It's terrible. They don't know who they're fighting. They don't know who their enemy is or their friends. Well, while you're mulling that over, Fred, we're going to take a call. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
So what do you guys think about AIDS?
Which one?
Both.
Fred or me?
Fred.
Okay, Fred, what do you think about AIDS?
Well, it's a very tragic disease, one might say. It's terminal as a rule.
Uh-huh.
I've known a few people who've died from it, and unfortunately, they suffered a whole lot in the latter stages.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you taking any precautions to prevent?
Yeah, I practice safe sex.
You do?
Yeah.
What do you consider safe sex? And don't be too specific here on the air, because this is a family show.
I use a...
Yeah.
You're using condom.
Yeah.
Well, Fred, Mr. Truth Stafford, can tell you all about condoms. Fred, how reliable are these safe sex condoms?
Well, I know a number of people have used condoms, and their wives became pregnant anyway, so it didn't stop them from becoming pregnant.
Why?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's because the condom has pores, and
Go ahead, Fred.
it has pores, and I think what happened was, or holes, that the semen was not kept in the condom.
Now, the AIDS virus, the little
and it's much smaller.
the little bug, the HIV bug, is a lot smaller than the pores of latex rubber. And now the truth can be told, there's more of the virus in your saliva than in your semen or your sweat or your urine or your blood, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
So even heavy kissing, if the infected AIDS person, infected HIV person, is kissing somebody with a canker sore in their mouth or a sore inside of their mouth or a cut, or they just went to the dentist and had a tooth pulled, you can rapidly transfer that HIV virus from one person to the next. So it's not just from the sexual act itself. You can get it from heavy kissing.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be aware of that. I think we're going to try and take a call here on line 2. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi. Right now on most of the channels, Clinton is kicking out someone from office. What do you think about that?
Who's he kicking out?
I'm not quite sure.
It's on the air right now?
Yeah, on Channel 6 for sure.
Well, I heard he's trying to get rid of Rush Limbaugh and some of the radio show talk hosts because he doesn't like what they're saying, but he was fine when he was going out there rattling his mouth when Bush was president, but now when he's in office, he wants
Hey, I like Rush now. Knock it off.
he wants to censor. No, I'm not talking about Rush. I'm talking about Clinton wanting to censor anybody that doesn't agree with him on the radio and TV. He wants to pull them off the air. But when he was running for office, he went on many of those radio shows and blasted Bush and the Republicans and everything else. So, you know, it's got to be what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So have you found out yet who's getting kicked off?
No, I only have one.
Is this somebody major?
Somebody new from kindergarten.
Somebody what?
He knew from kindergarten.
Huh. Must be kicking him out of his office, out of his administration.
Yep.
Yeah, well, okay.
Thanks.
We'll keep abreast of that.
Thanks.
All right. Fred,
Yes.
did you know the Russians are coming?
Yeah, well, not exactly, but I'm not surprised.
The Russians are coming to the United States to hold joint military exercises right here on American soil.
We're going to have them? That's a big mistake.
I know it is. They're going to be privy to all kinds of our secrets and our
Well-
warfare tactics. They operate on a whole different kind of warfare system, Fred. They're set up totally different than ours. That's why we whipped their butts over in Iraq. Excuse me. Because the Iraqi army was trained in Russian military warfare. And we just wiped them out. So now they're going to learn our tactics firsthand. All these Russian generals and spies and KGB will be right in there with military uniforms on, slipping right in there, asking questions, photographing, stealing information, whatever they can get a hold of. Major mistake, Fred.
I agree with you.
Unfortunately, who's the senator that...
Senator Sam Nunn,
Sam Nunn said it would be just wonderful.
chairman of the Senate Military Affairs Committee.
Sam Nunn said it's going to be wonderful to have them over here. Well, you know, over in Russia, they don't want us. They didn't. It was supposed to be we were going to go over there and hold joint on their ground.
Yes.
The Russian nationalists said, you're not coming over here.
Right. I understand.
So we open our arms and our money, and we're going to welcome them. We'll probably even give them free coupons to the local McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Fred. We got a call here, so we better clear this up. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Chuck.
Hello.
Is it true you and Fred are funky butt lovers?
Fred, evidently the homosexual element out there is really hot under the collar. I've got a editorial here, Fred, from the Wisconsin Light, one of the premier homosexual papers in the country. And they did an editorial where they attacked me and you, Fred. Not you by name, but me personally. They named me. And then they went on to go after right-wing fanatics in general, and in particular, anybody that's to the right of
Tammy Baldwin, huh?
yeah, anybody that's to the right of Tammy Baldwin's a fanatic. Thanks for helping me out there, Fred. Now, I've got that editorial here. Did you get in here and take that, Fred, when I wasn't looking?
Yes.
I figured here. So, that's what's going on, Fred. I don't seem to have it in here, but we'll find it, Fred. But anyway, it names me by name, and it says that we're picking on her, and it's not picking on her per se. It's picking on her use of state facilities, state staff, state phones, and lending her name to a group that is one of their sole purposes is to monitor the Christians and the so-called radical right and Republicans. You'd think the Republican Party would be up in arms about this, but they're cowering in the corner down there in Madison, hoping it'll all blow over. So here it is, Fred. Religious rights attack on State Representative Tammy Baldwin should be no surprise, Fred. And this is from the editor's desk, Wisconsin Light, June 23rd to July 6th, 1994. The editor's name is Terry Bogner. And it says that this is my going after her is like she's some kind of icon that you can't touch. She's a state official. She's elected. Her duty is to protect the state, Fred, and use the state facilities wisely and within the law. And the Ethics Board is investigating the situation right now, but so they made it personal, and they're going after me personally, saying that I'm part of this radical right, and this is just a salvo in the dirty war that's coming for the elections this year and in '96. It says here, it's for these very reasons that she must be attacked. Representative Baldwin is a decent and dedicated person of the highest ideals. Right-wing Christians must prefer someone like confessed liar Oliver North. The problem is that all this is only just beginning, not only for Representative Baldwin, but for all the rest of us as well. In my opinion, we have already embarked on Election '96. I honestly believe that it's going to be one of the dirtiest campaigns that has ever been fought. It will be a battle of the liberal-minded who value America's ideas over those who value no one who isn't exactly like themselves. In this battle, what we have heard here is in Wisconsin is a salvo fired from a cockboat that precedes a man of war. It behooves us, I think, to be warned by the dismal sound. Well, Fred, I I didn't conspire with anybody. I just collected this information over 6 months, and it just finally added up to some problems here.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked the ethics board, and they said, yes, turn it in. It sounds interesting. I didn't do it in a league with the Republican Party or any other party, Fred. It was just, it was obvious that that phone and her name were being used to further that group's cause. So, we're going to take some heat from these people, Fred. They called up on the last show and were attacking. So, batten down the hatches. And, you know, on mobile homes, Fred, they have tie-downs. Now, we're going to have to get tie-downs here because things are going to get hot.
Right. Okay.
All right. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
First of all, I'd like to say Dershowitz, he was defending Tyson, too. Mike Tyson is.
Yeah.
And second thing, Dave Gerger is the one getting thrown out of the Clinton administration.
Dave Gergens.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the so-called Republican that turned tail and joined the Clinton administration to prop up his sagging ratings.
Right.
Evidently, he didn't do the job. They're getting rid of him.
Yeah, he's the one getting thrown out right now.
Huh. David Gergens.
Oh, that's all that I have to say.
All right, thanks for calling in. Well, Fred, that's interesting.
That is.
They're weeding out them Republicans out of that Democratic administration. Of course, this Gergens guy, he was just an opportunist. Probably got paid well, too, to prop Clinton up, but I guess it's not working. Clinton's losing the battle on this health care, too. Fred, there's something big coming down the pike here, and I asked you about it earlier. And we call you Fred Mr. True Stafford for a reason. It's because you know what's going on. And I asked you about this.
Yes.
And?
You asked me about GATT.
GATT and the
General
world.
Agreement on Trade Tariffs.
Now, while you're thinking about that, Fred, I'm going to take this quick call here. Because we try to cater to our callers.
Yes.
They're the lifeblood of this program. On this colorful Monday afternoon. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I have a couple comments up for you. You're talking about OJ. Why even waste your time on your show to even talk about him? I mean, the media got him already proven guilty before he's proven innocent. And it's supposed to be, the justice system is supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah, it's kind of like they found him guilty and now they're trying to prove he's guilty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why even waste your time on that? And then you're talking about the heroin. Heroin's been in Wisconsin probably even longer than both of you guys' age put together. Well, and then it's now, yeah, it's coming strong, but I think you just need to, on your show, to practice, go a little bit more local on the areas around here. Like the heroin coming in from the cities, who's doing these Asian gangs and stuff like that.
Okay, well, yeah, you know, you don't read much about people getting busted around here for much more than marijuana. And being involved in it myself back in the old days, I know darn well that the drugs go right up to the top.
Yeah, that's correct.
I know attorneys that I used to smoke joints with, and it's ludicrous to try and say that Eau Claire is clean and there's no drug use around here, and they bust a few people for marijuana once in a while.
Well, then you know that marijuana is a lot different than heroin.
Right.
It's a little bit different.
It's different than cocaine too, but where is this big drug enforcement, metropolitan enforcement group? Why aren't they nailing people for the heroin and the cocaine?
I guess the Clinton administration ain't spending enough money for their to pass it along to the drug enforcement people around here.
Yeah, but they've been getting money for years right here in this area.
Oh, yeah.
West Central Wisconsin or whatever it is.
Yeah, but where does it go? How come we don't see nothing or hear anything very much about it? You know, we read the paper, and if somebody does get busted for big amounts of cocaine or heroin or marijuana, they go in front of these judges, and they get slapped on the wrist, and they're back out doing the same thing.
Yeah, you said earlier about Asian gangs. Now, I warned some of my friends a couple of years ago that we would see that evolve into a problem right here in Eau Claire because of ties to the old land, to Laos and the Golden Triangle and Thailand and that area.
Yeah.
Now, some people from among the community have been busted for smuggling opium in from Asia, but they get slapped on the wrist too. I mean, this stuff is addictive.
Yeah, well, I'm not putting blame on just the Asian gang. I mean, it's all Caucasians and everything else, you know. But I just say, you know, the justice system in Eau Claire, it stinks.
It stinks. If somebody gets caught for something, and then they slap their hand, go back, and they're back on the street selling this stuff again.
Well, hopefully they can do some rehabilitation. It's not only just throwing them in and locking the door and throwing away the key. I mean, there's over 1 million people in prison now, and crime is rampant.
Yeah. And then I wanted to ask Fred, if not to use a condom, are you saying no sex at all?
Well, that's the best way of avoiding disease.
Well,
Fred, why don't you create an asbestos body condom from head to toe?
You know, the best abstinence is the best defense or preventative. And
Outside of marriage.
Well,
you don't call for abstinence inside of marriage.
No, but for people who don't want children, they can abstain. They can use natural family planning.
Yeah, that's true. But then if everybody just stops having sex, then do what we do because of disease. Well, then we adopt from overseas.
Well,
then we got our drug problem again, huh?
Yeah. Well, there is the HIV thing is a lot more dangerous than people are letting on, and they're saying just put on a condom and you'll be all right. But the statistics, the facts from Centers for Disease Control and Louis Pasteur Institute and other major scientific studies have shown that this thing is raging in parts of the world. There's 500,000 abandoned orphans in Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, alone.
Okay, but what I'm saying
from AIDS. Their parents died of AIDS.
Okay, what I'm saying, my generation, your generation has a little common sense. Okay, we're saying, but I'm talking about this third generation, this X generation. I'm saying you're telling them not to have sex. Well, if they're going to have sex, at least tell them to wear a condom. I'd rather wear a condom than not a condom. You know, I know it's kind of playing Russian roulette, you know, but at least you're eliminating your chances of catching a disease if you do wear a condom within not wearing one.
Well, the Centers for Disease Control have always stressed bodily fluids. I mean, saliva, blood, tears, urine, fecal matter, all that stuff. That stuff is all being transferred between people in sexual acts. And people are going to have to wise up that bodily fluids means all those things. It can come right through your pores on your skin.
Yeah. It's just, you know, it's like getting, like, if you sneeze and catching a cold.
So it's more than just putting a condom on.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It helps. That we'll have to concede that helps to a certain degree, and Fred can't deny that, and I can't either. A condom is going to cut down on the transfer of the virus, but it's by no means a cure. We don't want to leave that false impression with the youth out there, because that's one of the most rapidly increasing groups of people that are being infected is the youth, the young people between 18 and 25.
Yeah, and then, but if I listen to your show, you know, it seems like that youth always have something kind of nasty to say to, or try to, you know, to make a swear word or hang up or make smart but comment or something like that, you know. And it kind of scares you, you know, if they're that stupid to do things like that, you know. You figure by the year 2000, half this population is going to be dead from AIDS.
Hey, when I was young, I thought I was invincible and immortal. But you learn when you get older, and you can ask Fred from experience. You learn that you're mortal, and you're finite, and there's an end to this life. Now you can either end it when you're 21 from HIV, or you can be a little more cautious and maybe live to be 80, 90, or 100 with today's modern medicine.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, keep up the good work.
Okay.
Hope you touch a little bit more on the local system around here.
Okay, well, thanks. We need your input.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chuck.
Bye. Yeah, Fred, we would like to have more input from people. And locally, you know, it's hard to find out sometimes what's going on locally around here. You read the one newspaper or the one TV station or the one or two major radio stations, and if they're all on the same track giving you the same propaganda, you never see the other side of issues. What do you think about that?
I agree with you.
Okay. Well, since you agree with me, Fred, then I'm going to quiz you another time here. We got about 15 minutes left in today's wonderful program. And on this date, well, actually on June 29th, Fred, 1949, what happened?
June 28th?
June 28th. I know you were a young man full of vinegar.
June 28, 1949. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you.
How old were you in 1949?
Old enough.
Probably in your 30s? Early 30s?
1949? I was about 32,
33?
going on 33.
Well, in 1949, I read this and it was kind of hard to believe, but in 1949, the United States pulls its last active duty combat troops from Korea. I don't know if this is a misprint or it doesn't sound right, 1949.
No, I think they're still there.
Maybe they pulled them out and then had to rush them back in, Fred. Was there some trouble?
Well, it could be. There was at one time the Secretary of State, I think it was Dean Acheson, had marked off Korea. And they started to reduce the troops that were there. And of course, shortly after that, or within a short time after that, North Korea attacked South Korea.
And
we had to rush them back in.
Yes, so we weeded it down just to a handful of observers, which was states in 1949. And we had to rush back in thousands, and something like 60,000 Americans were killed during that, Fred. That's about the same amount that died in Vietnam, but the Korean War was a lot shorter and with a higher death rate because of lack of ways of getting people out of there that were wounded. Where in Vietnam, you called a helicopter and you had one there, and they were rushed to the field hospitals. So, Fred, we got something else cooking here. We're going to get back to that World Trade thing. Unlikely pair of people have joined together to fight the World Trade Organization that's coming, which is the Oversight Committee for the General Agreement on Trades and Tariffs. Now, the World Trade Organization, Fred, is this great big worldwide conglomerate that's going to be able to usurp state laws and the Constitution to do these big trade deals all over the world. And it's kind of it's going to be kind of the brain, and it almost sounds like something out of the Book of Revelations about you won't be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast. Well, WTO, the World Trade Organization, could be what's coming here. And two unlikely people have joined forces to stop this. Ralph Nader and Pat Buchanan are joining forces to stop this thing that's coming down the tubes at us, Fred. And so we'll be hearing more about that. And it kind of ties in with the latest crop reports, Fred. And do you know that in 1993, the U.S. corn output fell 54 million tons? And also in Russia, it fell during the same period 6.8 million tons. And in 93, Japan's rice output was 25% below 92 output. So we had a major problem with grain. So we don't have as much storage as we used to. This used to be the land of milk and honey and plenty, and the warehouses are starting to empty out a little bit, Fred. And in the Philippines farmers are rioting because they said the GATT and the World Trade Organization are going to cause more poverty for them. So while you're getting ready to talk about this, Fred, I'm going to take a call. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I got a question for Fred. Yeah, Fred, what is Eau Claire doing with all the money, considering I can't drive on half the roads?
They're fixing them up.
They're what?
They're fixing them up.
Oh, yeah? Forget it, Fred.
The street department...
No, nothing.
The street department, or the city of Eau Claire, is constantly fixing these roads, but they only give them a life of 10, 15 years, and then they got to go in there and fix them again. I mean, you can go out in the country, some of these roads, these country roads out there are perfect shape, and they're 20, 30 years old. Why do they put a road in Eau Claire that only lasts 10, 15 years? Seems to be a major waste of the taxpayers' dollars, and the tax burden continually spirals out of control locally. And now they're complaining at City Hall that they've got problems with the budget. It's because we got a bunch of liberal people on the city council that don't know when to put the billfold away, Fred. They're always pulling it out and saying, here, take another million. Throwing it whatever anybody comes there that's in their clique, they'll throw millions or hundreds of thousands at them just to get them out of there. We got money, we'll just raise taxes on the homeowners.
Oh, and Chuck, what's with the glove?
Which one?
You kill me.
Thank you.
Get it.
Okay, go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, earlier a fellow called in, and he said that
the youth of America are pretty stupid for calling in and making swear words and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're not stupid. We're just bored.
You are?
Yeah.
No jobs or what?
Look at something else then.
Actually, I just got done with my job.
So you're just bored because there's nothing to do in Eau Claire, or what's going on?
There's absolutely nothing to do in Eau Claire.
Didn't you go to the Metallica concert last night?
There was a Metallica concert last night.
Metallica was in Somerset, 20,000 people. There was a rock and roll festival in Cadott. That's only, what, 15 miles from here, Fred? 20, 30?
That's closer to 30.
You got a city swimming pool. You can go down there. You can go down there and get encephalitis if you want.
Yeah. Have you heard about hair lice or the body lice problem in the Eau Claire swimming pool?
No. When did that happen?
That's why they had it closed so many times last year, because of the body lice and the head lice.
Huh. I thought the chlorine would kill that.
I guess not, huh?
Well, you know, you can also get encephalitis because where I'm from, they had a city swimming pool, and just about every year somebody would get that, and it would pretty much burn up the brain and leave the person mentally retarded, or it would cause trouble with the spine. But it's a nasty thing, and it's transported through water. It'd be amazing how out of millions of gallons of water that little virus can get through that water and into some kid's mouth and then cause a nasty disease like that.
Also, earlier you said that MTV messes up the youth of America. And
who said that?
You did.
You sure it wasn't Fred?
I'm sure it wasn't you, Chuck.
I watch MTV from time to time. You have to
Is
know.
that why you're messed up?
Who said I was messed up?
I did.
We're bringing you the truth here in Eau Claire.
Are you sure?
That's right.
You know you have to drink 5 quarts of saliva to get AIDS from it?
That is an out-and-out lie. I'll tell you a good book to get a hold of. AIDS, Rage and Reality by Gene Antonio, with over 1,000 references in it from massive studies from all the scientific community around the world, is bundled into this one book. AIDS, Rage and Reality. It'll probably not be at the Eau Claire Library, but check the Christian bookstore or check around town. You'll find it, and it'll open your eyes to how this virus is really transferred, and it is a very hardy virus. It's not a weak little virus, and it's very nasty, and it's traveling very quickly throughout the world community.
Doc?
Yeah.
Do you have any cows?
No, but I know where there's some at. If you call me after the show.
Oh, I could go find those cows and watch them.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, Fred. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, what's up background?
Where at?
And you?
Do you like that or not?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's computer.
It's the whole channel of that?
It's computer generated.
Computer generated, huh?
I don't know if they can flip a switch in there and get the whole screen with that on it or not.
Just put on a half-hour show with that, because I was at the Metallica concert last night, tripping, and this is really cool.
Now this here can be, this will generate a new, continue to generate new ones for hours on end.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, watch your language now. This
Oh, I'm sorry.
Family afternoon program here.
I'm really sorry.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Fred.
Yes.
Did you find anything on that World Trade Organization?
No, but I agree with what you had to say, and I do know from the past one year where we made an agreement through GATT and Japan, we got 200 refrigerators in there. And where did the 200 refrigerators go to, Chuck?
Probably to somebody that needs a refrigerator.
Well, they went to the PXs. That's the only place you could buy them in Japan. And the only people that bought them were Americans, either American service people or Americans who were in Japan. They weren't bought by the Japanese.
That's amazing. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
I'd like to say hi to Danny Olson.
Daniel.
Daniel Olson.
All right, thank you. Fred, did you know that Clinton reveals top secret U.S. defense data to the Russian military?
Well, I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
That's according to the Washington Post, 5694, page A32.
Uh-huh.
U.S. officials said they bared their strategic souls to the Russians this week, presenting them with a briefing from the CIA on perceived threats from regional powers such as Iraq, and a presentation from an Air Force general who detailed the U.S. short-range missile defense program. Wasn't that nice of him?
Mm-hmm.
Something that the Russians would pay millions of dollars for, and people would go to prison for life or even maybe be shot or hung. And Clinton has his Air Force generals just hand it willy-nilly right over to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what we got running this country. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi. You know, after The Price is Right, Bob Barker goes, controls the pet population. Well, why does he say that, Fred?
He is interested in cutting down on the number of pets that are in this country. And there are too many pets in some areas. Too many cats, too many dogs.
You mean running around loose, or just like in houses?
Well, some of them are running around loose, particularly the cats.
Mm-hmm. What's so bad about that?
Well, some people don't like to have that number of cats around.
The cat population is very prolific if you let it go unchecked.
I know when we lived on a farm there, we had a number of cats, and gosh, that every few months we had another 4 or 5 kittens.
Uh-huh.
And getting rid of them is a problem, because how are you going to get rid of so many cats? You can get rid of a few. And then
always people looking out for pets to get.
Well,
yeah, well, I'll guarantee you the Humane Society is killing them off like crazy out there. I don't know where they get the word humane.
Yeah, I don't know if it's nice to those pets either.
I think someday they'll be saying it's a humane society that'll be killing Christians, and they'll say it's humane.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got to wind this thing up here for a second call, and we're going to take one more call, I think. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
What do you think about gays and AIDS?
Which one?
Like gays.
Well, in this country, the AIDS epidemic, the HIV epidemic is still confined. 62% of the HIV population is homosexuals. I think about 18% is drug addict or homosexual. So you're still talking around 80% of the population between those two groups. So in other parts of the world, it's exclusively heterosexual in Africa. So it's an unusual disease, and it's an opportunistic disease, and likes to get into openings and transfer through saliva and through cuts and things like that. So it is dangerous. It is, and it is contagious. So be careful.
Do you think there'll ever be a cure?
No, because it gets into the muscles, it gets into the tissue, it gets into the brain, it gets into, you know, gets into so many parts of your body that the cure would probably kill you.
And also, what's with the cow in the front of the screen?
This is the cow report. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, how you doing?
All right.
I was just wondering, who'd you vote for
When?
in the last election? Clinton or Bush? Or Perot?
I think I swallowed hard and voted for Bush.
Did ya?
Yeah.
Nice choice, you fucking idiot.
Hey, watch your language. What's your name anyway? Give me your name and phone number. See how quickly they hang up, Fred. All right, Fred, we got about 30 seconds here, so we're going to wind it up. Unfortunately, next Monday is the 4th of July, so we won't be on. So we're going to see you again right here, July 11th.
Yes.
I don't know if it's 2 or 9, Fred. We'll find out later. But remember, you get a close-up of that real quick.
And
I'll shave my beard and cut my hair to be your congressman. I promise. Charles Lee for Congress, 3rd District of Wisconsin. All right, we'll see you again right here, July 11th, on the Cow Report. Good afternoon.
American Family Association will meet on Monday at 7:30 on July 18th.
Good night.
In Sacred Heart Hospital.
Thank you.
Conference room 5.